This call is now.
Okay, Mrs. Edgerly, we are ready to go.
Okay, hi parents. I'm Dawn Edgerly. I'm one of the school counselors here at Serrano, and we're holding this presentation tonight to cover the college application process. Here you can see our Serrano Counseling Instagram handle, so that way you can go ahead and friend that page so that you can get all the pertinent information for the Serrano Counseling Office. And then we also have our College and Career Center Google Classroom. Miss Tanya, who runs that center, has a code down there. So if you logged into Google Classroom, you can sign in with that code. And then she has a lot of really cool information in regards to college and career. Different field trips she's offering, different presentations from colleges that she's offering. So I highly recommend that you join that class. And then next we have our determining factors for honors and high honors. High honor students would be distinguished by wearing a gold cap and gown at graduation. They also walk out first, so they sit in the first few rows. In order to earn that honor, they would need to earn a GPA of a 4.0 or higher and meet all the UC A through G requirements or complete a 2-year CTE pathway. And of course, some students do both. That is determined at the 7th semester, the very last progress report. So we call the 7.75 semesters. So just prior to their very final grades being posted to their transcript for their 8th semester, there will be a progress report that comes out right before that. And that's what we use to determine their GPAs. For students who are working towards honors, they would need to earn a 3.5 or above, and they're distinguished by wearing a blue gown and a gold sash. If you or your students have any questions about whether or not they're going to be earning that, they're more than welcome to reach out to their counselors. The only thing that I can say about that is we're happy to help them, walk them through all the qualifying criteria, but we're not able to kind of predict whether or not they would earn a certain GPA. There's just so many different factors with the level of classes, how many classes between now and then. And so we just let the students know that we can't really predict that for them, but we're able to help them with any other questions that they have. And then here's our californiacolleges.edu. This is what we use for students who are going to be applying to colleges. We go through this portal. It's just an easy way to access everything that they need in order to apply to their university. So we have all students sign up for an account. I'm pretty sure that your senior probably already has one, but this is what we'll be using when we have the students apply to their universities. And then here we get into their options for college. First, we're going to cover community colleges, or what we call 2-year colleges. These are great options for students. They tend to be more affordable. At times, they can even earn free tuition. If they do to go to a community college, but they still have a desire to earn a 4-year degree, they can work with their community college counselor and get themselves set up to meet those requirements to then go ahead and transfer to a 4-year university of their choice. Many of the community colleges offer aid for to cover tuition for first-time students. We happen to work with VVC. It's our local community college up here in the high desert. And we have a bridge program in which students will work automatically with a VVC counselor so that they can bridge over to VVC during the spring semester of their senior year. So they're ready to go, they're registered, they have their classes set up, they get priority registration if they do that their senior year so that they can start right in the fall. And so with that program, we're able to have a VVC counselor on our campus who helps students with that process. He goes into classrooms to help them. He also has an office on our campus in which your seniors can visit him if they have any questions about that. So many different reasons to attend community college beyond even the cost or the savings of that. The trade schools also tend to be a lot cheaper. I shouldn't say the trade schools. The trades that they offer tend to be much cheaper than trade schools themselves. And they have such an array of trades that they offer. So I highly recommend looking into that route if you do have a senior that is exploring a trade that they'd like to either earn a certificate in or possibly a license so that they can get straight to work after that. We always recommend that students, even if they're planning on applying to universities, four-year universities such as UCs or CSUs or even four-year private colleges, to at least pick one community college as a backup, just in case. I know sometimes they have big dreams. Sometimes they want to go to a prestigious school, but they don't get maybe the offer that they would like as far as scholarships and such. And it tends to be a lot more money than maybe they were predicting. And so we just recommend that they have a community college as a backup for those just in case situations. And then I think we're ready to move on to UC applications.
Okay, and this is Leslie Carver. I'll be taking over at this point for this part of the presentation. So UCs, or Universities of California, are one of our two state public school systems for colleges. The UCs, there are 9 of them in the state. And students that want to apply to any of the UCs will apply online. They will launch their application through californiacolleges.edu. We do want students to use an appropriate personal email address, not their Snowline students address, because once they graduate, that Snowline students address will be deactivated and they won't be able to access any of those emails. So we want to make sure that they are using an appropriate personal email address when they do the applications. There is one application for all 9 campuses. So if a student applies to one UC, or if they apply to 4 or even all 9, they will just use one application to apply to all of those schools at once. However, they do have to pay $80 each for each campus that they are applying to. We will talk about fee waivers for applications in a slide later in this presentation because it is a possibility. But if a student does not qualify for a fee waiver, they are paying $80 for each UC that they are applying to. The UC applications are already available. They opened on August 1st. They will all be closed on December 1st, and late applications will not be accepted. So we really want our students making sure that they are applying on time. We will be available on December 1st, which I believe is a Monday this year. It's the Monday after Thanksgiving break, and we do like to warn our students that that final deadline for the UCs can be a very busy day, and internet can go down, their websites can go down. They will not extend the application deadline if that happens. So we really want our students making sure that if at all possible, they are submitting those applications before Thanksgiving break so that they have access to us and our help, because we're not available over Thanksgiving break to help them with that. Acceptance or denials for UC applications will be delivered to the student's school-specific student portal. That's basically like an Aries for each school that they are applying to, so they will have to keep track of all those. And they will receive their acceptance or denial letters as well as their financial aid packages in mid to late spring. So looking at March to April, sometimes a little bit earlier than that, depending on the school. The UCs calculate GPA by their A through G or their college prep courses in 10th and 11th grade. So that can be a positive or a negative depending on your student. If your student had a rough 9th grade year, that can be a great thing. If they had a really great 9th grade year, it can be a little bit of a bummer because those classes won't be included in that GPA. But we just like to let our students know what's included there. And the UC applications do not have actual essays. However, they do have 4 short answer questions that are required. Each response is limited to a maximum of 350 words. So it's basically just like a medium-sized paragraph. It's not too bad. There are 8 personal insight questions that students can choose from. So they'll choose 4 out of those 8 to answer. The questions are not rated any differently than each other. We want students choosing the questions that they can answer to the best of their ability. And so if students want to look at those right now, they are available. If you just want to Google UC personal insight questions, they will not be changing this year. And students, we definitely want them to start working on those now. What we usually recommend is that students start answering those in a Google Doc that they can share with their counselor, with their English teacher, with their parents, with anybody else who knows them. So that way they're getting multiple reviews of those answers that they are thinking of submitting, and they can also check on their word count in that way as well. There's no right or wrong way to answer these questions. The UCs look at these as kind of like a written interview, short interview, a way to get to know the students. Some of the UCs have close to 100,000 applications per school each year. And so when you have many students who are all doing very well in school, very high grades, all taking the same honors classes, involved in activities, these questions are a way for them to get to know students a little bit better. So we really want our students to use these questions as a way to stand out. So getting to know not just about their school, record, but of their hobbies, their motivators, and their goals. Okay, so I said that there were two California state public college systems. The UC is one, the CSU or Cal State University are the other. Our nearest Cal State is San Bernardino. I didn't mention, but our nearest UC would be UC Riverside. So the Cal State applications work very similarly to the UC applications. Students will launch their application also through californiacolleges.edu. We still want them to use a personal email address for these as well. The cool thing about launching through californiacolleges.edu is that their classes and basically their transcript will sync with the application. And so they will not be needing to type all of those in manually. And so that's just kind of convenient for the kids. There is one application for all 22 campuses. There used to be 23 Cal State campuses, but 2 of them combined this year. So there's 22 now. And the cost for each campus would be $70 to apply to. Again, we'll talk about fee waivers in a slide coming up in just a minute. But no matter how many schools or Cal States a student wants to apply to, there's just the one application, but they will need to pay $70 for each of those campuses. Applications have not opened for the Cal State yet. Those will open next Wednesday, October 1st, but they are also due on December 1st, just like the UCs. So same thing, we want our students getting those done before Thanksgiving break, if at all possible, so they're not waiting till the last minute and we will have time to review them. Late applications will not be accepted. Same thing, acceptance or denial letters will be delivered to the college school specific student portal. Also GPA calculated by A through G courses in 10th and 11th grade, same as the UCs. The great thing about the Cal State application is there are no additional essay questions. So the students are just putting in their contact information, their classes and grades, which, like I said, will be synced with California colleges. And then there's just a few other questions for them to answer, but there are no essay questions. So it's a little bit easier of an application. Okay, and then our local Cal State San Bernardino is a great school. We have a lot of students that'll kind of look at us sideways when we strongly recommend that they at least apply as a backup to Cal State San Bernardino. But if students see the school, if they have a chance to go down there and look at it, it's a gorgeous school. It's set up against the mountains, and the campus itself is just very clean. There's lots of trees and shade, and they are continually improving that campus. The new student union is fantastic. They have a bowling alley there. It's just a great campus that students really should consider. It's also great because if you are looking to go straight to a 4-year college while saving money, there is the ability to commute from home. So if students aren't ready or if they can't afford to live on campus, it's about a 45-minute drive. And that way students can still start at a four-year school without paying the extra around $15,000 a year to live on campus. So we really recommend all of our students apply to Cal State San Bernardino at least as a backup. And then last year, they started this great program called the Guaranteed Acceptance Memorandum, of Understanding. And that's a agreement that they have with multiple districts, including Snowline. And the program requirements are lower for this. So, because our students are closest to Cal State San Bernardino, they only need to have a 2.5 GPA and to be meeting the A through G requirements. And they will be accepted. So it's a guaranteed acceptance if they can just meet those two requirements. It doesn't apply to all majors. So the majors listed here are more competitive. So you do still have to meet the higher requirements for those five majors. But still, if you're looking outside of that, this is a great opportunity for our students to have a guaranteed acceptance to a low cost, pretty awesome school very near home. Okay, and then there's also private four-year colleges. So these can be in California or in other states. And we want our students to check with each university, and we just tell them just Google the university. And on almost every college page that comes up, there should be a tab for admissions. And that's how you can check if that school requires the SAT or the ACT, if they require anything else, maybe a class that Serrano doesn't necessarily require or the Cal States or UCs doesn't require. They can check the deadlines for college admission tests required and application deadlines. Private colleges usually have much later deadlines than the UCs and Cal States. So sometimes they'll accept applications into January, February, and sometimes even March. If space is still available. So we really want the students making sure that they have those deadlines written down because they can be different for every school that they're looking at. We want students checking those college websites for scholarship information. A common shared website is called commonapp.org, and this is a website that nearly 700 colleges for private schools and also many out-of-state public colleges use the Common App website for students to submit all of their applications in one place. So if students are on their college website under admissions, the website will tell them if they use Common App or not. Some states actually have their own Common App, so we want to make sure students aren't getting confused with that. I believe like Texas has their own Texas Common App, and that would be a separate website from the one that's seen here on the slide. But it's really convenient if students are applying to more than one school that use Common App, because just like with the Cal State or the UC applications, they are just typing their information in once and it gets sent to all of those schools. However, just like the Cal States and UCs, they may still need to pay separate fees for each of those schools. So we just want to make sure that students know where they're going to need to be applying. And also on Common App or on individual school websites, the students will see if they are required to write any essays, if they need to have any letters of recommendation. Some schools do require these, but not all. And so again, a student can be applying to 3 or 4 different schools through Common App, but each of those schools may have different requirements. Application fees vary and fee waivers may be available. We always tell our students it never hurts to ask. And then regarding out-of-state public and private colleges and universities, there is something called the Western Undergraduate Exchange, or what we call the WUI. The WUI is an agreement between all of the Western states and various universities and even two-year colleges in all of those states. So this will span from Washington, Oregon, California, all the way over to Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, down to New Mexico. And if you go on their website, they will have a list of all of the schools. It's quite a long list. So it may not be every school in that state, but it's going to be quite a few in each state. I believe Hawaii is actually going to be part of this as well. And the universities that agree to participate in the WUI agree to charge out-of-state students no more than 150% of the in-state tuition. So what's really cool about that is sometimes these schools may not actually be that much more expensive than paying for in-state to go to a California school. And the fact that they then cap the out-of-state tuition could mean that to go to an out of state school may be the same or even less than for a student to attend a UC or Cal State, which can be pretty pricey. So we just want students looking into that if they have any interest, because normally people think of going out of state as being expensive, but it may not actually be. And then Mrs. Lindsay will be taking over from here.
Yes, so I'm Ashley Lindsay, one of the counselors, and so I'm going to be talking about the various things that you may want to consider when applying to college. So the first thing is letter of recommendations. So like Ms. Carver said, not every school, specifically Cal State's UCs, are going to require a letter of recommendation. However, at the UC and Cal State level, they may require a letter of recommendation for scholarships. Also, some private and public universities out of state might require a letter of recommendation. So we want to provide students with as much support as possible. So we actually have a letter of recommendation worksheet that's a Google Doc that either the student can reach out to their counselor and request it to be sent to them, or they can go directly to the Serrano Counseling webpage. And if they go under the senior information, it is linked on there for the letter of recommendation. They can download it and go ahead and create it in a Google Doc, and then that way they can send it to their recommender. So some tips: we tell students to make sure they're reaching out to their recommender, whether it's a teacher, a counselor, a coach, another staff member. Just reach out to them to let them know and to ask if it's okay, if they're willing to provide a letter of recommendation. If that staff member, that adult, says yes, we ask that you give them 2 to 3 weeks notice to be able to write you a sufficient letter of recommendation. And again, make sure you're not requesting it just because you think you need it, but make sure you actually do need it. You're also, if it needs to be sent online, make sure you have the correct email address for that person. Make sure you're spelling their name correctly. And again, that letter of recommendation worksheet, there's several different questions. And so the more detailed you are in that letter of recommendation, the better that recommender can provide a glowing and well-written recommendation for your student. Okay, fee waivers. So this is the thing with fee waivers for UCs and Cal State specifically. They do give an opportunity for a student to get a fee waiver. It is embedded in the application itself. So when they go into californiacolleges.edu and they launch their UC application, or they launch that CSU application, the first section is going to be personal information. In that personal information, when they're going to ask for your student's name, address, they're also going to ask about household information. So they're going to ask for family size, and they're going to ask for your family annual income. We strongly say do not guess on this information. Reason being is this is the information that they use to determine if your student will get a fee waiver. The counselors, we do not know what special algorithm they use, what that special formula is. We have no idea. We just know that it is embedded in their application, and based on that information is how they will determine. You won't know that you got that fee waiver until you've completely filled out your application and you get ready to hit submit. It will total. So let's say your student applies to 2 Cal State campuses. When they go to submit it, if they got that fee waiver, it will show that their balance is 0. But if they did not get the fee waiver, then it'll show that application balance fee. If the student does get a fee waiver, they are able to apply up to 4 campuses for both the CSU and UC. Okay. If by chance a student gets the fee waiver for the Cal State application, but not the UC application, they just need to contact the UC and they can sort it out and, make sure that they put in the same information. But usually if a student gets it for one, they typically get it for the other. In the Common App, same thing. In that profile, there's going to be some questions along the same lines of household income, family size, and based on that information, when they list their counselor, as the recommender to go ahead and add school information. At that point, the counselor is going to get prompted to indicate about the student getting a fee waiver based on the questions the student answered. So again, if you have any questions about the fee waiver, your student can reach out to the counselor. We can kind of, again, give you a little bit more information, but again, we don't know what that income needs to be or household size. That information we do not have, but we can definitely help your student and in the process of the questions and where to answer those questions at on their application. We always tell students also, if you're applying to any private or out of state schools, it does not hurt to ask that school. Reach out to that financial aid office for that particular school and ask about a fee waiver. Also, to our College and Career Center, Miss Tanya, she has some partnerships with some local private schools like Cal Baptist and University of Redlands. Sometimes she can reach out to them and work with your student in that campus to see about getting a fee waiver. Also, too, sometimes when those campuses or those colleges come to our campus to visit to do a college presentation, they will sometimes also offer application fee waivers for the students that attend those presentations. So it's so important that you're on the Instagram webpage, that you're signed up to follow us, or have your student sign up for the Google Classroom, so that way they're aware of when those college visits are happening, so they don't lose out on an opportunity to get an application fee waiver. And also, too, again, the counseling website, whenever we're aware of campuses and colleges providing fee waivers, we post that information. So right now, to give you an example, CBU, Cal Baptist University, for the month of September, they are waiving their application fee as well. Okay, SAT or ACT? We get this question a lot as far as whether a student should take the SAT or ACT. The answer is it depends. So for UCs and Cal States, they stopped a couple of years ago requiring students to take it for admissions. So it is not even on the application itself for a student to report their score. So it's not necessary. If a student did take the SAT or ACT and they scored pretty well and they get admitted into a UC or a Cal State campus, once they have assigned their SIR, which is their statement of intent to register, then they can provide that SAT or ACT score, and it is only used for placement purposes in English and math classes. However, there are still some private schools or out-of-state schools that are requiring the SAT or ACT, and also too, there may be some scholarships. So your student needs to check their particular college of choice to see if it is required. If they do need to take the SAT or ACT, they are going to need to sign up on their own, either going to College Board for the SAT or going to actstudent.org. There are some fee waivers may be available for some of those tests. So reach out to your counselor if you're wanting to know about the process for the fee waiver. If not, then the tests start around $60. Keep in mind, Serrano is not a test site, so you will need to see where your closest test center is. And it also may be down the hill. A lot of high desert high schools are not offering it as a test site. So just keep in mind that you may need to travel to take that test. So just again, if you're wanting more information, you can check that on those websites, or you can reach out to your counselor. So for our student athletes, our students that are planning to play collegiate sports, there are some steps. The first thing is there is a website. So if you're planning on attending a college, and again, you're planning on playing a particular sport for that college may require that you register either with the NCAA or the NAIA. So there are two websites, one's for NCAA and then the other is for the NAIA. The requirement is that you get that done by this fall, so right now. There is a registration fee with it. The NCAA is around $100. The NAIA, I think, is around that same amount, give or take. There are add-ons. We encourage students not to purchase any of the add-ons because those add-ons are things that we do as your counselor. So you don't need to pay for that, but you do have to pay for the registration fee. There are some deadlines, so you want to make sure that you are paying attention to those deadlines. One being filing your college applications on time. Also, two, you want to contact the individual college coach, not the athletic director. So if your student has not already been in contact with a coach at the college, then that's who you want to reach out to. You usually can go to that college's website and look up that information. Usually their information is public. And so that coach may require you to send like a highlight reel or your student's stats, or, if your student was featured in the newspaper, or, something like that, they may require that information. So again, you want to contact that particular coach. If you have any questions about your eligibility to be a D1, D2, D3 eligible player in regards to your academics, because there are certain courses that you must have taken to qualify, you can reach out to your counselor. We can assist you with that, to go over that. And also to the NCAA, they no longer require a SAT or ACT score. However, the NAIA does. So it's important that you check your college to confirm their division and know which one you need to register. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Cage.
All right. Next thing we're going to be talking about is what I think is one of the most important things we can talk about when we're discussing college with our students, is how much it's going to cost them. This is a very honest conversation that should be happening between you and your child, so that you can make sure that they are going to end their college degree with the least amount of debt that they can possibly have, and hopefully get the most amount of scholarships and financial aid that they can get. Every college will provide you with what's called a college cost calculator. You usually can find that on the financial aid tab of your college that you are looking at, and it'll give you a good cost comparison of what it should cost to attend that school. And that's something that could help you and your student determine if that's going to be a school that is within reach financially for your student or your family. The next step that you're going to do is you're going to submit your FAFSA, your federal application for student aid, and your CATA, which is your California Dream Act. The two different applications, the websites will kind of help walk you through which one you should be applying for, and we can help that as well when we start having our financial aid workshops later in the year. These are going to help know if you and your family qualify for Pell Grants, which is free student aid to students, or also if they can get loan opportunities through the federal government. We're hopeful, our fingers are crossed, that application, our FAFSA and CATA, will open on October 1st. Sometimes there are delays to that, but we're hopeful that this year that they will open right on October 1st. The next thing that you and your student are going to start doing is looking for scholarships. We're not going to tell our students that you're guaranteed to get a whole bunch of money through scholarships, because they may or they may not, but we're going to look for those opportunities. On our website, we do have a site that we trust called goingmerry.com. It is a free version. I think there's a paid version for that as well, but don't do the paid version. Go for the free part, and you could look for some scholarships that would be individualized for your student that they could apply to. Later on in the school year, next semester, we will also do our local scholarships that will be available for our seniors to apply to, and that's a really neat event at our senior awards night, when we are able to award some of our seniors some financial aid through scholarships. All right, as I was talking about, you'll need to be talking to your student about how much college is going to cost. We have a little bit of a price comparison on our screen that shows a little bit of the differences. These are yearly costs between the different California systems. We have our community college level, which is usually around $1,300. Our Cal States are kind of the middle ground, of about $75,000 to $8,000. Our University of California's are just over $14,000 to attend per year. These are the average costs of these schools, but there's also other things to factor in as you're thinking about some of these schools and if it's going to be able to fit into your financial determinations. Another thing you need to be looking at, and that will be on that price cost comparison that colleges offer to you, is how much room and board and maybe meal plans will be costing if your student is going to be living on campus and maybe not have a kitchen and the ability to cook their own food. It's going to kind of show you all those different costs that will be in addition to the yearly tuition. Another thing to think about is books, how much it's going to cost each year. Books can be very expensive. Sometimes a book can be several $100s. So they always add that on as part of what you're going to be paying for school. Also, something to think about, while you may be saving money living at home, you also need to know that there will be some transportation costs with that as well. And so that's another thing that you always should be looking at as you are deciding on which college is going to fit your guys' financial situation. All right, our students are also going to be asked at some point to submit their transcripts to their applications. It kind of depends on which schools they're applying to. The UCs and the CSUs do not require you to submit an official transcript with the application process, unless they specifically reach out and ask for one, but most will not be needing to do that. Students will usually request the official transcript after their final senior grades post in June, and then you will reach out to us and we will help walk you through that, and we will send those official transcripts to your colleges. Our official transcripts are actually made on our website. You'll go to our school website and you will click on the registrars tab, and there will be a link that will link you to a company called Parchment, and that is an online portal that will send your official transcript right from our school directly to the college, and for there to upload to their applications. Parchment usually is used by most colleges. Some of them require something different, and if so, let us know so that we can help make that available to you. My most important thing is make sure that you're telling your student to do that in plenty of time to the deadline of submitting their official transcripts. We always have a few students every year that are panicking at the last moment, thinking and needing their transcripts to get there overnight. That might not happen. It is an online process, so there is some processing time and some downtime, especially if a lot of transcripts requests are coming in at the same time. So please allow plenty of time before that deadline for the official transcript is due to make sure that you make that request. What you can start doing now, we should start thinking about, most importantly, having that conversation about financial aid with your student to see what is going to happen and how we are going to make this possible. And then you should start registering your account with California colleges and start exploring the schools and narrowing your list down to which schools that you are going to apply and which are feasible for you and your family. You're going to really be looking at those costs and making sure that it's something that is going to work for you. You're going to be emailing colleges to see about fee waivers and seeing if you can apply for those. Make sure that in your list of colleges that you're applying to, that you're at least applying to some good backup options in case those dream schools don't quite work out for you. CSUSB is a great one, UCR is a great one, and so is VVC. Sign up for our UC and CSU workshops. We do those during school and after school, and we are announcing those to the students almost daily. Even if your student isn't applying to one of those schools and they need help on their application, have them come on in anyways. We're happy to take a look at that and help them with whatever they need. Also, please, whenever you have questions, email your counselor and we're happy to answer those.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Gage. And I do want to remind everybody that we are recording this presentation and we'll be posting it to our website tomorrow morning. I know we have a lot of information on here and we're going pretty quickly, but you can check this out tomorrow at your own pace once we post it. And just to continue important things that we've reminded your students of, it's important that they finish strong. We know that it's senior year, senioritis may kick in, but if they're planning to apply to a UC or a CSU specifically, they still need to pass their classes with C minuses or higher in some cases to meet A through G requirements. So just staying diligent about what they've been doing and continue to do all the way through to the end, because like Ms. Edgerly mentioned earlier, high honors and honors are still being considered all the way through their fourth quarter progress report. Grades at the semester may be requested by a college, so those are really important. We encourage our students to read all the emails that they receive from the colleges that they are applying to. The bullet right below that second bullet point says to use an email address other than their Snowline student email address, because once they graduate, like we mentioned, that email address will be discontinued, and we want them to receive all those emails from the schools that are necessary for follow-up. And while the information on them seems like a lot, please be sure that you're reading through them, looking for key dates so that deadlines are not missed. If your student is applying to a school that requires official SAT or ACT scores or AP scores to earn college credit for classes or AP tests that they've passed, make sure that they're doing that through the ACT, SAT, or collegeboard.org website so that they arrive in time to be considered. Again, if their college requires that for admissions purposes. Be sure to send those official transcripts, like Mrs. Gage just mentioned, through our Parchment website. Do not expect those to arrive overnight. Be prepared to request those in advance, and once final grades post in June, our registrar will make sure those official transcripts are received or sent out in a timely way. Now, many of our students take BBC or Victor Valley College classes concurrently and may have already earned college credit. Those transcripts will need to be sent from BVC's website, not through Serrano's. So make sure that if that applies to your student, that you're also requesting transcripts through that particular institution to the university that's requesting them. File your FAFSA or CATA as soon as possible. Like we've mentioned, October 1st, we are told that the application will officially open. We understand that there's some beta testing that has allowed students to already start the FAFSA. So if that is something your family has already tried and started, we recommend completing that FAFSA or CATA application as soon as possible and no later than December for the highest award possible. Make sure that you're aware of housing deadlines because just like those admissions decisions and financial aid awards going out in late February and March, housing deadlines are also typically required in March, well before the actual date of intent of registration, which is usually the 1st of May. So if your student is going to live on campus, they need to be aware of choosing their housing situation maybe in advance of deciding that they're going to go to that school. So be aware of that. Now, Mrs. Gage just mentioned signing up for our application workshops. This slide has that information on there. Starting at the left of this application, we ask your students to bring these items to the workshops. Our first one is this Friday, and it will be for the UC application only. We are meeting with your student generally for one period of their day, which is about 50 minutes, and we can get started on those applications. We won't complete them, but if they can come prepared with their transcripts, in some cases, schools ask for their social security number. They don't have to have their social security card, but if they have that number with them available if necessary. If they've been working on their personal insight questions, as we've been asking them to since last year, be prepared to share that information with whomever is maybe helping them start their application. Any parental income and family size information so that they can maybe be considered for those application fee waivers. And as Ms. Lindsay mentioned, having those brag sheets, the list of honors and awards, sports clubs, having that information all gathered together so that we can help them get started on those applications. We'll offer after-school workshops roughly every other Wednesday. You'll see the dates at the top middle there, 2 in October, 3 in November, and those do not require any signups. They can just come in after school. The next application workshop we'll have is for the CSU, or the Cal State Universities, in a couple weeks, October 7th. Our final college application workshop will be all day December 1st. It's a Monday. And just like Ms. Carver mentioned early on, this year, November 30th, lands on a Sunday. So we ask students not to show up on the 1st of December and starting their applications. We should maybe be putting the final touches and just reviewing courses to make sure they're entered correctly and submitting. There are no appointments required to go see Ms. Watson in the College and the Career Center. So just be sure your students are utilizing those workshops. We will be there to help guide them through them as your students come in. Your students can still sign up for Friday's workshop by emailing their counselor, and we'll have those email addresses at the end, or coming into counseling and signing up. And we can go to the next slide. Those college workshops also included what we hoped would be a very valuable feedback session on November 6th through this college essay guy. There's been some complications with him coming on campus to give some feedback on your students' personal insight questions, but we are still working to maybe make that available via Zoom. So please have your students keep an ear out for that. We're still hoping that he can come virtually and give your students valuable feedback on their personal insight questions. And yesterday, our students went and visited the University of California, Riverside. So maybe that was a defining moment for them, and they know they want to apply there. So hopefully they're coming to our kickoff event on Friday. So a couple more important dates. I just mentioned that first date, September 26th, that's this Friday. Signups are still available. That's for the UC application, which has been open since August 1st, but will not close until December 1st. Also, in late October, the 29th, we will have a virtual financial aid info night that will be sent out. The link information will be sent out prior to that meeting. And while it sounds far away, December is right around the corner, December 1st, that important deadline for the UC and CSU applications. So that's it for our presentation. We have our email addresses posted up there. We are by Alpha, as mentioned. This information will be posted to our website. Our email addresses are also posted to the website. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have specific questions, or if you want to set any kind of one-on-one in-person meeting with your student's counselor. But please do not wait until getting close to deadlines just to reduce the amount of stress for your students. And we're sure for you guys as families, just feel confident that your students have been putting in the work for the last 4 years, and now we're just putting it all together and packaging it for them to put those best foot forwards, create more opportunities, or take advantage as many opportunities as they've created for themselves. So with that, we want to thank you guys again for joining us. Ms. Carver, are we going to stick around for questions, or how would you like to wrap this up?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you can just feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat box in the lower right corner. And we'll give a couple minutes and see if anybody does have any questions. I'm just going to wait 1 minute in case someone is typing anything into the text box. Okay, I'm going to assume no one has any questions. I'm going to stop the recording at this time.